Morning everyone. So it's the 7th of September and there's plenty going on with the tracker, so hopefully you've all had a look at the live tutorial tracker scenario. It's a post underneath this. Facebook just changed some of the navigation yesterday, so whilst it was pinned at the top of our posts, it was then immediately moved into the video section, and they've changed the way you pin items at the top of any post streams now. So lots of continuous changes with Facebook, which is really frustrating. Anyway, I shared it back into the post stream. Okay, so you'll see it underneath this one. Nonetheless, this is the tracker from the website, as you would see it when it opens up. And so just a quick tutorial. If you've got your social media feeds here on Twitter, GGR2022, people passing comments, you just get rid of that, hit it, it's out of the way. On the other side, you've got your teams here, just to give you an indication of the entrant colours and their boats again. So where you can get rid of that, then you're back onto the main map. What I like to do straight away is put the weather up, the wind. But before we do, we'll just talk about, oh no, we'll just stick it up anyway. What the hell? Okay, so stick the wind on, the wind overlay, here it comes, boom, boom. And you can see there was quite a few things happening overnight. The big surprise was Damien Galoo on PRB. I'll just zoom in a bit on that now and we'll see what happens. Oh, that was a big jump. Oops, sorry. I will cut back a bit. Okay, so you can see here Damien had a problem with the mounts on his hydrovane. It looks like there's a bolt that's come loose from the information we had, and it's wobbling a bit. He didn't want to stress it, he couldn't fix it during the night, so he hove to, and he's actually bearing away with stronger winds, taking on the beam. And currently he's doing about 3.5 knots, and still yet to determine what he will do, excuse me, and what he can do. So quite unfortunate, but let's see how that pans out. There is a situation now where if he decided to come back to Les Sables d'Olonne, the gate is still open for a restart up until the 11th of September. So I'm not sure what he's going to plan to do, but that's possibly another option. Tapio is still plugging along over here, making 3.5 knots, heading out to the west, and by the look of it, he might be holding off a little bit too long, but we'll wait and see, and I'll explain a bit more of that as we go. Ian Herbert Jones back here, sort of not struggling, but certainly not making a lot of progress in these 3, 4, 5 metre seas, 30 knot headwinds, just back and forwards. Nord during the night, in fact these positions were actually 4 o'clock UTC or 6 o'clock local time in France. You can see he's heading north-northeast, and that's absolutely away from the course. So he's just running before it, possibly to get some sleep. What's he doing here? Come on, won't pop up. Making 0.9 of a knot. So I would say he's just taking it easy to get some sleep, and you'll see that change when the new position comes in a couple of hours. On the positions, we had requested the tracker updates to be moved forward 2 hours. So instead of a 4 o'clock position, it would be a 6 o'clock UTC position, which would have been about an hour ago real time. We'll still do that, so that it means that when we're doing these regular morning updates, you'll see the tracker only an hour old. But for the moment, it's actually a little bit longer than that. So that should be happening sometime during today. Mark Sinclair, he's tacked across, heading south-southeast, and only doing 2.9 knots, 3 knots, so holding his own. Edwards was a surprise. We had a radio message, not from him, but not a radio message. We had a contact from another entrant, just a safety call, suggesting that Edward had some information. He was worried about the typhoon and the hurricane coming, was headed for shelter, but he's certainly tacked across and heading out to the west now. So, excuse me, he's changed his mind. Michael Goog, who was definitely going out to the west, changed his mind overnight. He's been roaring down, doing 5 knots. He's been making really fast time. See him drop right down to the southern end of the fleet, joining that decision, because certainly the further to the west you are, the bigger the seas are and the bigger the winds. However, if we now I'll just try and see what happens here. If we look at the guys down south, they've absolutely fallen in a hole. That was the trap. If they go too far, they're going to stop. Now, Guy was making really good time. He's now only doing 1 knot with no wind, And Elliot was the same. He caught up with Guy, who was looking pretty good, but he's just gone too far. Part of the tactic here was, as you come south, as the wind's dying, you need to tack back across into this green band here. This is the theoretical anyway, and maintain, your contact with the breeze. And the ones that have done that, Pat is absolutely roaring away. He's actually tactically in a very good position now, and I'll explain a bit more when we show the weather forecasting. Same with Simon, and it's fascinating that like Simon's a hot sailor, right? He's a real racing guy. His boat is the Biscay 36. Where does it stand in terms of potential performance? There's no question in my mind now that Pat is showing his boat is more powerful in heavy weather, which is natural because it is a much bigger, more powerful boat. It's more volume, more weight, all the rest of it. So I've got a squeaky door here. So that's a real eye-opener. Pat's obviously a good sailor too. He's at one with the sea because he's spent half his life on the sea as a fisherman, and he's doing really well. So as for the others, Zerton, he's lost a lot of ground now. He was looking really good in the early stages, but now he's fallen in the hole as well, 2.9 knots. And what have we got here? Kirsten's the same, really stuck, doing 0.3 of a knot. She'll be pulling her hair out by the roots. She basically, it appears she went too far, or the wind backed off and surprised her, and now they're stuck in a hole, and it could be costly. Jeremy's same spot. So these guys here are looking quite good. If Good tacks across soon, in the next position, and that'll determine a lot of things as well. The story could change completely. So there's a lot of action going on here with the tracker. Now, if I go back to the weather forecasting, you'll see this is real time now. This is what we've got at 9:30. So right now, on today's date, if I come forward 24 hours to 7:30, that's about there, you'll see what happens. It's actually flattening off. It's coming more around to the east, and I'll just explain that here. You can see it's definitely a southwesterly wind. Okay, so it's a southwesterly airflow. These guys here that are tacking out now, they're getting it on port tack. The wind's coming, to close reaching, going to windward, and so on. But that's now going to change. The wind's going to now start coming from the west. I'll just explain that. So I come forward to, let's see here, 8:30 tomorrow, and you can see there's more of a westerly slant in it, which means these guys, if they stay on port tack, they're going to be going high. But the beauty of it is, if you look up here at Tapio, and this was the idea of the original tactic, if they get out to the west, as soon as this wind comes more to the west, they'll tack around onto starboard tack. These guys are on port tack, on starboard tack, and potentially come down here. Tapio may be in a position sometime during today, he'll tack, and he may have already tacked, because this weather's sort of average. It's not real, but that's what they're waiting for. They're waiting to tack, and when they tack, they'll just rocket straight down like that and hopefully get past Finisterre. Whereas these guys will have it on the nose, and they'll be short tacking back and forwards. So you could see a complete change. What's going to happen with these guys up here, with Ian and Arnaud and Captain Coconut? Who knows? They'll probably still keep coming south. But so that's the scenario. Now remember, they're trying to get down here. If we go through another day, or to explain that, by this time tomorrow, Tapio may well be down here somewhere. Okay, coming down and making his way to Finisterre. If we then go through another 24 hours, whoop, that's a bit far. I'm sliding the forecasting scale across. This is the next problem. There is no wind there, so it doesn't really matter. And when you've got this sort of situation, you'll see the sea state change. I'll go into sea state. So this is 2 days away, remember, what we're talking about now. So in 2 days' time, this is representing about 1.5 to 2 meters, which is really quite okay for going to windward. It's not hard work going to windward when you've got light winds. So again, this southern group may start to join up with Tapio. We've just got to wait and see. Just coming back to show you the sea state they've got today, like right now. See the colour changes. So, and remembering you've got the colour scale down the bottom here. That's 6 meters in there on a bright red. So you've probably got 6 meters, 5 to 6 meters over here. And I reckon Tapio's getting 4, occasionally 5 meters here. That's what he's having to put up with to try and make the gains tactically to make the most of the changing weather forecast. So at the moment, Tapio's in a pretty interesting position. Pat Lawless is the same. Simon is up there as well, but where's he stand boat for boat? I'm not sure. I've got a hunch that Pat's boat is faster, and I've always said that from right at the beginning. In fact, at the end of the last race, we lots of discussions about what boat would you take in the next GGR, and I was convinced that the Saga 36. I don't know whether you get rid of this. I hit the wrong one. We'll go back here, rightio. I was convinced that the Saga 36 is super powerful, and so did Mark's Lats. But he didn't. I thought he might have bought one and come back this year, but he didn't. So anyway, so you can see the sea state still pretty solid. Even these guys down here, they've actually got quite a bit, but you can, the ones that have becalmed, it's a lot less. So that's really about all there is happening right now. No news from Ayrton yet about his electrical issues. But you can follow the tweets during the day. That'll come up. We'll put them up twice a day. Yesterday there weren't a lot in the beginning of the day, but there was a lot in the afternoon. So we'll put them up as they can. Okay, that's it. A bit of a short update. I'll put it back to the wind again, just so you can see how that works. We'll get rid of this one. Hopefully you're getting familiar with the tracker. We will do the tutorial about putting the app on your mobile and the features of the mobile app for your iPads or iPhones, so you can follow it from there as well. And we'll